Hi everyone, this is Marie Blue Angel, and I'm back with Twisted Carnival. Last time we ended off with uh we're about to go into a haunted mansion in the Carnival of Curiosities. Um and if you already can't tell, I have Jude the Jester on the left here of the main character, and Remy the magician or mage on my right, or the right of the screen rather, and we're about to go into a haunted mansion. Remy looks quite intrigued with the little sparkle right next to, uh, his face and everything. So let's see what's going to happen, because I'm sure lots of fun things can happen in a haunted mansion. Remy didn't seem the least bit surprised, but he didn't seem opposed to the idea either. That is true. I picked up on that. Of course, of course. I brought Blue here to show her my collection. What collection? I don't. What collection are we talking about? You're a collector. What do you collect? Oh, you know, shiny treasures and baubles, dolls, puppets, and cobbles. I collect objects of only the greatest beauty and intrinsic value. You just collect things? You're a hoarder, Jude. Equal parts fashionable and tragic are essential, I'd argue. An obsession with shiny objects, vintage figures, and marionettes. Remy noted, more to himself. I don't mind you studying me, Remy. Why would you keep a collection like that in a public place where it's not safe? Why not keep such a riveting collection in the public eye? My beauties enjoy being admired, and they are free to do as they desire. I just realized that you are rhyming a bunch. You're acting as if they have a will of their own. Hee hee. You say that like a joke, but they probably do. I couldn't help but laugh at the absurd notion. How crazy would that be? Because they do, and they each have tragic backstories to boot. Some leave, some stay, some hide away. It's not up to me to decide, only to appraise their value and collect. Jude walked off, signifying the end of his mood to answer questions. Oh, whoopsie. Remy and I explored the haunted mansion with Jude at the forefront. He led us down a cobwebbed hallway with paintings and sculptures depicting gruesome murders and rituals. Oh, new room, with a poster bed. He then trotted into a Victorian-styled bedroom. The canopy bed had flowing curtains, while the mattress had a large hole in the middle that was saturated with blood. The creaky rocking chair near the window moved by itself slowly. Side note, I do love a rocking chair. Though these types of, horror haunted mansion sceneries make me feel like I could never have a rocking chair, in a room. A music box played a melancholic lullaby on the nightstand.
Here it is, my dazzling collection.
Oh, you're very excited about this. Displayed was an array of shiny treasures and trinkets, along with antique dolls and puppets that were fashionably dressed. The skull he had used on stage as a puppet was proudly on display. Wow, there are so many jewels and little treasures, and it fits the atmosphere of this room so well. It seems you have an artistic eye. Jude seemed pleased I was looking through his collection with wonder. I took out my camera and snapped a few pics. Oh yes, I forgot our main character is a photographer. Interesting that such a place was chosen out of all the other areas in this vast carnival. Jude ignored Remy's rhetorical contemplation and gently grasped my hand. Your outfit is so well tailored and stylish, Blue. Your hair is shiny and lustrous. Your skin is flawless. Your beauty radiant. I have a feeling Jude wants to collect the main character. I would adore the chance to add you to my collection. You'd be its glittering star. I was correct. Remy looked at Jude with curiosity. Jude ignored Remy's stare and suddenly picked up his skull puppet. Oh, sorry. I keep accidentally. Maybe I'm clicking on the edge here. What's that you say? Jealous of Blue? He giggled giddily and put the skull down. Ah, I can see why. Such an attractive, shapely skull. He ran a finger from the top of my head down to the nape of my neck. I shivered at his light touch. Not gonna lie, you're kind of giving me the creeps checking out my skull. I brushed Jude's hand away. Let's go see more of the Haunted Mansion. I mean, it is quite a thing to experience unexpectedly. It would not be fun for me, personally. I walked out of the bedroom and ended up heading to a nearby library filled with dusty books, scrolls, and maps. Some of the books were open and revealed strange symbols and diagrams. Okay, so this is more of a Remy room. A demon was crouched in the corner, while specters flew around the room wailing. I was in awe of the detail put into everything and stared at the demon and arcane symbols. I excitedly took a few pictures of everyone and the environment. I noticed Jude looking at me unhappily for some reason, though. Before I could ask him, he was across the room poking at the demon. Remy looked around the area, scanning a few of the symbols and diagrams. Oh, I did again. I'm gonna move my mouse.
Pure drivel.
He picked up a paper and shook his head. Is it nonsense? Is it trivial, Remy?
Contrived.
You look so disapproving. Aren't these all props? Of course they're fake. The prop maker could have tried a bit harder. Not everyone is a master magician. It looks pretty convincing to me. Remy looked amused, but said nothing further. Oh, and I still did it again. Let's check out the basement now. Jude led the way, skipping down the basement steps. He seems very excited. Oh my gosh. The walls were covered in chains, hooks, and torture devices. Hanging from the ceiling were lifelike bodies on hooks. Various limbs were missing, as if they were being used for meat. A demon-like butcher stood with an arm raised, poised to chop a mutilated human, laying before it on a table. There was a large iron door on the furthest wall where screams and moans emanated from. Remy idly stood by me, taking in the setting, while I observed the room with shining eyes and took more pictures. Jude looks quite bored. I felt Jude staring at me again, as if he were unsatisfied. Maybe he's trying to get a reaction from you, and would expect maybe your reactions to be more entertaining, but all you've done is be very amazed at things, which is more than fair. Okay. I gave him a weird look and ignored him, approaching the demon butcher that was the centerpiece of this basement from hell. Oh. Jude materialized right in front of me with an eerie, wide grin. His eyes were bleeding rivulets of blood, and his mouth was agape and bloody. It even seemed as if his very flesh was decaying. Shh. I mean, shocked. Me too. I'd be shocked. Are you satisfied now? I violently shoved Jude away. The shock caused me to move back and crash into Remy, whom I bounced off of. Before I could fall, Jude appeared behind me, back to his normal self, and innocently caught me. He readily took me into his arms. You're hugging me. And how the hell did you even do that? Jude cackled at my confusion and the merriment of his prank, but let me go. Remy had the slightest tint of annoyance laced in his tone as he spoke. Try not to send blue flying everywhere. He then focused on me.
Are you okay?
He offered me his hand, but I wasn't sure what his gesture meant. Does he intend to escort me the rest of the way through the mansion, to ensure Jude doesn't keep messing with me? You know what? Okay, so this is where my choices lie. I think I will take Remy's hand because honestly, I don't like Jude's personality. Like, personally, I know he's kind of like, mischievous, jester, and all that, but whatever. I like Remy a bit more here.
Thank you.
Thank you. I took Remy's hand and interlaced my fingers with his. You really shouldn't do that to someone out of nowhere, Jude. But I get it. Trolling is your thing. Jude seemed unfazed, his voice sing-songy.
Worth it.
Okay, good for you. Remy stared at my hand and his for a while as if in a trance, not moving. Is something wrong, Remy?
No, this is just very comfortable. How strange.
How strange indeed. What a feeling of comfort with a stranger like this in such a way when we've just only met tonight. I love it. I couldn't stop the nervous laugh that escaped my lips. What's strange about it? Remy looked away from our hands and into my eyes. Wow, what a soft, tender gaze is being portrayed on his face right now. I didn't expect something so simple could be so pleasant. His normally stoic features had softened lightly. I felt my face heat up. Thanks for escorting me. I can't speak. It's because I'm nervous. Nervous around you. Remy gave me a small smile before his features turned emotionless again. I can't read. It's okay. Not a problem. Though, I ask you don't cling to me too tightly. I loosened my grip and gave him a sheepish look from under my lashes. Why don't we check out some other areas in the Haunted Mansion? I turned to Jude. Hey, are you coming too, Jude? Show us the spookiest places the Haunted Mansion has to offer. Preferably something a little more realistic. Jude snickered. Leave it to me. Towards the exit of the Haunted Mansion, I heard real screaming and multitudes of pounding footsteps. I rushed out to see what was happening, holding tightly onto Remy's hand. Upon exiting the Haunted Mansion, I stared, aghast, as people started to transform into grotesque creatures. They looked so odd and inhuman that they almost seemed alien. The carnival goers were transforming into true alien horrors. Tonight had already been so surreal that all I could do was go blank, mouth agape at the unfolding chaos. Jude is having a fun time. Not only were people transforming into unearthly beings, they were going mad and attacking nearby people. Oh gosh, this is scary. A fully transformed alien horror turned to our group and let out a shrill shriek, running at us full speed. It's coming right for us. He raised his hand, magic sparking from it. Oddly, it didn't seem as Remy was trying to attack the creature. Either way, the alien horror didn't stop. We should probably flee, unless you want a battle. I watched in horror as the monstrosity launched itself at Jude, but the giddy gesture simply sidestepped it, plunged a hand in his chest, and pulled out something squirming and alive. My gosh. This is a lot. I looked widely around and started running, while Remy ran ahead to lead the group. This way. Jude eventually caught up, merrily licking his bloody fingers. I looked away from him, both bewildered and disturbed. Understandably. As far as I could see, carnival goers were running for their lives. I almost didn't believe what I was a witness to. Remy turned to Jude. We need to get to a less densely populated area. Then why not stay in the shadows? Jude practically pranced into the small space between the tents, followed by Remy. I ran faster to keep up. They both suddenly halted before a large clearing. There was another group of tents beyond the clearing that we had to reach. Ready to dash across like rabid animals. The most effective method would be to zigzag. Try not to attract too much attention. Okay, we got this. Remy nodded and motioned to start running. Jude, Remy, and I dashed out from between the tents. Oh, I see the little alien, the creature, and the people. dashed out from between the tents and were about halfway across the clearing, teeming with people and transforming alien horrors, when I realized I could go no further. I stopped, gasping for breath. There wasn't much else I could do. I retreated and nestled myself in a small nook between two closely set up tents. I bent over, propping myself up on my knees as I caught my breath. A large crowd of people and alien horrors alike began to stampede across the clearing, separating me from the others. Realizing that I'd now fallen behind, I pressed myself closely against a tent, trying to remain hidden. Oh my gosh, it's so scary. An intense sudden wave of fatigue and malaise rolled over me. It was so powerful, it nearly knocked me to my knees. I could barely formulate a single thought as I panted and heavily sank down. I used the tent behind me to guide myself down, and quietly and gently. Screeching rubber blinding headlights. The sensation of screeching rubber. Didn't read that right. Screeching rubber. Blinding headlights. The sensation of cold metal causing burning pain. And the smell of gasoline invaded my senses. Why now? Why now? I knew these unforgettable sensations well. Through some miracle, I had survived that car accident. I had survived partially, getting run over even. I'm not sure what the extent of the damage was. My memories of the incident and healing process are hazy. But I am sure I've been feeling a lot better nowadays. However, sometimes out of the blue, I succumb to feeling incredibly weak. I mean, this is also a very understandable time to feel like that, given past experience, but also given this is a very unexpected, terrifying experience. It had to be an after effect of the accident, and unfortunately, the fatigue and weakness were impossible to push through. I'd have to wait it out. I took deep breaths, quiet breaths, trying to block out the horrific screaming and death occurring around me. This is just my body's natural reaction to my traumatic accident. This is just how I feel because I'm still healing from something that could have killed me. I'm so lucky to be alive. I'm so lucky to be alive. I chanted the words in my mind like a mantra. Eventually, my dismal state passed. Oh. An eardrum-shattering scream originated from just a few feet away, somewhere in front of the tent I hid by. Someone was definitely in trouble. For that matter, I would be too, if I stayed here alone for too long. I needed to think and act quickly. What should I do? Okay. Great. Good thing's not timed, like it would be in real life. Okay, fight my way to my companions. Can we fight? I mean, maybe we can help the screaming person. I'm not sure. I kind of want to help the screaming person. Maybe this means I die. Who knows? It's either that or flee and run until I find my companions, but that's kind of like running willy-nilly. Well, do we want to fight them? Realistically, okay, let's be honest. I don't know if helping the screaming person means I have to fight. But realistically, number one, doesn't make sense, because fighting, I'm not sure. I don't think we do any magic. We're a photographer. I mean, unless it's not been revealed that maybe we do have magic. I don't know, but I'm not going to figure that out right now. I think it's either we flee and run until I find my companions. It also leaves you also out in the field too long. So I feel like helping the screaming person works. Let's just do it. Help the screaming person. Though I desperately needed to catch up with the others for safety purposes, I couldn't just ignore someone being attacked right beside me. On the ground nearby, I spotted a long, thin metal tent spike that had gone unused. Okay, yeah, let's use it. Without making a sound, I picked it up and sprung from my hiding place. At the front of the tent, a shaking mother hugged her son, shielding him from the creature. Just as the alien horror was about to pierce her back with its claws, I flanked the creature. Using the metal tent stake like a spear, I jutted the sharp metal into the alien horror's abdomen. It shrieked and thrashed, but I was able to pull my weapon out and stab the creature again, this time in its chest with all my might. Something crunched inside of it. It was a sickly sound that made me wince. The unearthly creature staggered back, inky blood painting its body and my makeshift spear. Blood wasn't the only thing clinging to my weapon. I noticed a small, slug-like creature writhing on the tip of the sharp metal. I stared, not quite sure what I was seeing. Was this thing causing people to transform into abominations? It was hard to believe, but there was no other explanation. It didn't look like anything I had ever seen or heard of before. Maybe it really was an alien. As if it had been shot out of a gun, the alien slug darted down the tent stake. I felt its slimy body slither across my hands, and effortlessly sink into my chest. Whoop! I screamed and threw down my weapon, freaking out as I tore at my chest. There was no wound, no pain, but my eyes didn't deceive me. The alien had burrowed into my chest. Well, get away! I snapped out of my frenzy to see the mother I had just saved, pointing the tent spike at me. You're one of them now! The woman kept her son behind her back, rushing towards me. I'm not going to wait for you to transform, too. Stop it, you crazy woman! I dodged her attack, but she was determined. I attempted to run away while she relentlessly pursued me. Ooh, she drove the metal spike through my back as I fled, and I tumbled down and died. Okay, well, ending. I was mercilessly stabbed multiple times, especially in the chest, until I lay motionless on the ground, bathed in my own blood and gasping for air. Common death end. Forsake all others. Okay, well, that's my bad. My bad, everyone. Apparently, we shouldn't go and save the woman, so... You know what? Flee and run. Then flee and run is the option here. Because if I fight my way to my companions, don't know what I'm gonna do. So let's flee and run and see what happens. Of course I would die on the first choice I really had to make. There were so many alien horrors roaming freely now that there was no possible way I could fight any of them successfully. Nor was I in a position to help others when I could barely even help myself. The best course of action was to catch up with the others as quickly as I could. After steeling myself, I sprung from my hiding place and ran in the general direction I last saw Jude and Remy head in. I dodged, fleeing carnival goers and alien horrors alike. Luckily, I made it across the clearing and darted into another maze of narrow pathways between tents and booths. It was a clean break. No creature swallowed me. To my disbelief, I spotted a black and purple-haired duo in the distance. I immediately sprinted towards them. When I realized they were having an intense conversation, I slowed down. The Lessers have lost all control. They can't recognize friend from foe. I wouldn't put it past them to attack even Blue. I thought it was getting boring, and now I know why. I don't see Blue anywhere. Remy seemed slightly annoyed at Jude's light-hearted behavior. You know, if we don't hurry and find her, those nasty aliens may rip my precious treasure apart, or fuse with her and shock the life from her. Jude grabbed his heart and feigned a swoon. It's been about 2 hours since the transfer. It won't take long till the other half of the population is infected and the Reavers emerge. Lessers? Lessers? Reavers? Full of questions, I'd made myself known. Jude? Remy? What are you talking about? What are Lessers and Reavers? I eyed the two suspiciously. They sounded as if they knew exactly what was happening, and even worse, were helping it happen. Do you know how people are turning into these horrific monsters? Remy seemed genuinely surprised at my sudden appearance, but Jude knowingly grinned, as if he knew I was listening in all along. So many questions. Be careful to only ask the right ones, or you'll only grow even more confused and distrustful. He chided me playfully, as if he didn't have a care in the world, and I took a cautious step back. You really shouldn't do that, my delicate doll. You're much safer here with us. Remy held out his arm, beseeching me to stop. We need to find somewhere secure. Now is not the time nor the place to answer all of your questions. That will come later. I gazed into Remy's calm eyes and faltered. Rest assured, I'll see to it that you aren't harmed by an alien creature. Jude rested a hand on my shoulder. You're a precious collector's item. There's no way I'd let you become tarnished. Then how did you leave me behind? And how did I make a choice where I literally died? I felt conflicted and was tempted to press the matter if it wasn't for an alien horror shrieking nearby. It was uncomfortably close, so I gave my consent and the group began to move again. The tireless running was never ending. We alternated between full-on sprinting and sneaking past unfortunate people transformed into alien horrors. Eventually, we found our way into an empty tent. After securing all entrances and exits, it was deemed safe enough for us to rest in a while. I was breathing raggedly and all but collapsed to the floor. Remy was right there with me. He was pretty drained and sat down for a short respite. Jude, on the other hand, seemed to be experiencing the utmost ecstasy. His eyes were crazed, pupils shrunken, and his grin never faded. I was constantly worried he'd erupt in insane laughter and gave away our position. Luckily, it never came to that. Minutes of silence stretched on until I caught my breath. You two seem to know what's going on. To an extent, at least. What can we do right now? Is there anywhere that's safe so we can get out of this chaos? I suggest going anywhere powerful magic wards have been cast, like the main tent or my own tent. Shouldn't all sideshow tents have magical wards cast on them? Why would we specifically visit your tent, So mysterious. Remy brushed Jude's comment off. I'm only giving Blue the best options I can offer. The show mistress specifically requested Blue return to the main tent since it's the safest location. Wait, the show mistress gave them instructions about me? Why? Do we know anything about our mother? Question mark. I feel, are we related to the show mistress? Like, is she our mom? I mean, I know there was something about the statue at the carnival being looking so much like our main character's dad. And apparently her mom made that, or would make something like that, or I don't know, I can't remember exactly because it's been a little bit, but maybe that's something to look at later. Surely you wouldn't disobey the wishes of your own patron. Remy's voice turned flat, all non-existent humor gone from him. I wouldn't bite the hand that feeds. Just then the entrance tent flap was torn open. An alien horror easily broke in and began wrecking everything, tossing chairs and tables around. It noticed us immediately. It ran directly towards me, but crashed into one of the tent's support poles, causing the lights to flicker. Everyone was scattered. The alien horror noticed Jude, who had inched his way close to the main entrance, and charged at him. Remy appeared beside me, beckoning me to follow him. I hear more coming. If we don't escape now, it may be too late. I felt toward leaving Jude behind, but he did seem to be enjoying himself, and was able to defend himself well. I had hoped he'd find his way to safety, if that's what he wanted. I don't know how long I was running for, but I ran as fast and hard as I could to keep up with Remy. We were trying to shake off the alien horrors who had noticed and pursued us. It seemed like there were less humans around and more monstrosities, and so it was impossible to stop moving for even a moment. Ooh, look at them in the background. Just when things were looking their bleakest, dark, shadowy entities emerged from the ground, the very ground. They looked like mad silhouettes with their eerily stretched grins and crazed eyes. Their only discernible features were their eyes and mouths. These are Reavers. Mere servants. Ignore them. They are only tools. The Reavers took down the alien horrors easily. They felled the monstrosities, then cracked their chests open to reveal bloody, writhing slugs. I didn't get a great look at the slugs, but whatever they were, they looked and moved as if they did not belong to this world. They were truly alien-like creatures. Had the slugs caused all these people to transform into hideous horrors? How much further do we have to go? I managed between heavy breaths. That's right, we're running. The tent I performed at earlier is the closest. We should be drawing near. I thought we just passed another tent earlier that was a magic warded performance tent. You must be mistaken. Remy was curt, as if I was foolish to make such a comment. How would I know that, though? Like, it's not the main tent, and I'm assuming we don't see magical wards or whatever. I don't have any other options. I'll just have to keep relying on Remy. Okay, but I need to rest already. I can't keep this up. Understood. Though the shadowy reavers killed many monstrosities, a few still managed to follow us. I wanted to keep running. Relief was almost in sight, but my heart felt like it was about to burst. I could feel the weakness and fatigue of earlier coming back. My vision started swimming. Though I could feel myself slowing down, I pushed on. Blue. Blue. I felt as if I was drifting away. I faintly heard Remy call my name, and saw him dashing towards me with bleary vision. He grabbed my shoulder and pulled me into his chest. His free hand glowed with an aura of light blue magic. The magic surged forward and threw back the alien horror that almost clawed me. Its huge body flew away. 2 more alien monstrosities came charging. Remy stood in front of me protectively. A mix of fire and electricity crackled from his hand and pierced through the chests of both the creatures. They instantly fell to the floor, their chests engulfed in flame. We can't stay here. As he muttered to himself, I fell to my knees, breathing heavily. 5 more creatures surrounded us, but I couldn't get to my feet. Remy's hands flared with a volatile, magical energy that shot out. 2 creatures were immediately felled. 2 others swiped at Remy with their razor claws. He dodged, strafing out of the way. His concentrated electricity and fire burned a hole through the alien horror's chest. The alien slug's side immediately disintegrated. The remaining alien horror made me its target. I was barely aware of it, I was barely aware it was even there until it shrieked and rained its claws down upon me. Remy immediately threw a magic projectile into the creature's chest, but I had already been hit. Red-hot pain flashed through my abdomen. The monster's claws had gouged, oh my god, into my stomach. We die. Are we dying? Blood gushed from my wound. I immediately became dizzy, swooning. Blue. My world... I would assume it would be louder than that. Okay. My world immediately went dark. Did we die? Or will we be okay? Like, there was no options for me, but this could have also been from choices I made earlier. The pain racking my body alternated between a dull throbbing and a searing sharp pain. My surroundings slowly came into view once I managed to open my eyes. I didn't know where I was until I saw Remy looming over me and noticed the distinct pattern of the tent in the distance. I was in the same tent Remy had performed in earlier tonight. Don't move too much. I'm mending your flesh. I groggily peered down, I would not have looked, and realized Remy was holding his glowing hands over my abdomen. It strangely tickled. Then it was as if my wound was entirely gone. How? All I did was mend your flesh, wound, and stop the bleeding. The internal injury is still there. Try not to move so much. I tried to sit up, but I was crippled with pain and stayed down. I warned you, he said simply. He then brought out a clean cloth and made it his mission to clean the bloody area around my mended wound. I silently watched as he worked on me with practiced hands. You seem really good at this. Not quite, but I've had practice, so myself. Remy moved to my arm and cleaned a gash I hadn't even noticed on my forearm. He used some bandages to wrap it up. I winced. Thank you for everything. Of course. Now, bear with me. He handed my arm somewhat roughly, and I winced again. I may not be as gentle as I should be. I apologize. I'm usually the one being bandaged, not the one doing the bandaging. What do you mean? Remy hesitated as if he did not want to speak. His dazzling blue eyes watched as I squirmed with pain, desperately trying to stay strong. Though my wounds had been mended, I was in constant agony. If this serves as a distraction, a painkiller of sorts, I'll answer. You seem like you don't want to share. It's okay. Remy shook his head as he finished bandaging me up. During my time as an apprentice mage, I'd often hurt myself trying out new spells. Magic is as dangerous as it is powerful. My master, Denton, was always the one to do the bandaging. It's hard to imagine you as a reckless youth learning spells. Remy remained emotionless, but somehow the air about him became lighter. That was all thanks to my master. Before I met him, I was a cautious person, too wary to experiment. He accepted me and taught me much. I'm in his debt. Accepted you? Remy hesitated, but decided to share. I was an orphan. It was only until I was adopted by my master that I truly found happiness, on top of gaining power. It was the first time I heard Remy speak so much. I found myself enchanted by his soothing voice. I could listen to you for hours. When I realized I'd actually said the words aloud, I became red and hastily turned away. Remy remained silent. Ignore that, please. What I meant to say was that I'm glad you found happiness and someone to share it with. I'm going to shut up now. After Remy remained silent for a moment more, I heard soft laughter. I dared to sneak a peek at him, shocked to find Remy actually laughing. Did I die?
You're a breath of fresh air.
As I've said before. Okay, compliment. I'd enjoy sharing sweets with you again sometime. Oh, it's a date. Absolutely. And I would certainly join you. After that, you do know that people don't normally hand feed one another, right? Remy's eyes gleamed. Oh, I know. I figured I'd try it since you were the best candidate. And you were acting as if you didn't understand why I was embarrassed. Well, I wouldn't mind sharing sweets again, too. No harm done. You were so excited, also, to document other worlds, no? Beyond excited. My camera's ready. In fact, there are a lot of experiences I'd love to share with you. Should we not have sat up? I carefully sat up, trying not to agitate my main wound. Remy stared at me evenly, his features as impassive as ever. There are a lot of experiences you'd want to share. With me. With me? I can't get my voice that deep consistently. He mulled over the words, his eyes locking onto mine. His gaze was intense and consuming. You're not an illusion, are you? He rested his hand lightly on my arm. Ooh. Did I say something weird? Remy shifted his gaze to the floor and removed his hand. No, of course not. Remy was engrossed in his own thoughts. His behavior was a bit odd, but he didn't seem to want to share anything more, so I decided to get something off my conscience. About your master. If my asking about him earlier triggered something negative, I'm sorry. Remy pulled from his thoughts, looked at me for a moment. I was the one at fault. After all, your memory is gone after each carnival. I know that well. What? What do you mean? We've been to the carnival before? Even though they said it's a carnival, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to visit this carnival. Okay, I guess. Like, that's... Okay. How? What? No, it's okay. I know what I own up to. Wait. What? My memory? Yes. Each time you fall into a coma and reawaken for the next carnival, you always lose your memories of everything that occurred after your car accident and subsequent coma. I stared at Remy as if he'd sprouted another limb. He slightly frowned. I suppose no one's told you anything yet. I mean, who would have told me anything? I shook my head and grit my teeth at the sudden pain that shot through my abdomen. I bet you're still clueless about your main Zyra, too. I have a main Zyra? What is a Zyra? Oh. Translated from Sumerian as bright or shining, and from Spanish as gift of God. I'll give you a demonstration. From a side table, Remy picked up a dead alien slug. I hadn't even noticed it there before. This is a lesser Zyra, or a lesser for short. Please, take a bite. You're kidding, right? This thing is a raw alien. You host the original, main Zyra. Consuming this lesser will help you heal your wound. You're still in pain, aren't you? Okay, so we are the cause? What's happening this carnival? Like, we have to do it every 5 years? I don't understand. What is this car accident? If I host the original main Zyra, then that means I have the main alien slug inside my chest right now? Yes, if you didn't, you'd still be in a coma. Your car accident was traumatic. Regardless of Remy's composure, I freaked out, touching my chest, but feeling nothing inside but my erratically beating heart. Don't worry, you won't change into a monster or get sick. Try eating this lesser. Well, that's a lot to put on a person. I was mentally panicking, even though Remy was trying to reassure me. This can't be real, but Remy looks so sincere. He's not the type to joke about like this. The more I panicked and contorted, the more my wound acted up. Pain surged through my stomach and radiated into my legs. I groaned and grit my teeth again. This will help with the pain. I finally gave in. It'll do more than that. It'll rapidly regenerate you. I took the alien slug and braced myself. Biting into it was even worse than I thought it'd be. Ugh. The slug-looking Zyra was incredibly chewy, and blood spurted out with every bite. I was constantly gagging, but I managed to choke down a piece. And wouldn't you know it, the pain of my wound lessened. Just from that one bite. I can't be 100% sure eating the Zyra was what helped. I mean, kind of. Like, time-wise, you just had a bite and it was suddenly a bit better. That's no coincidence. I braced myself and took another bite. With each bite, my pain faded and my energy came back. Before I knew it, I'd eaten the whole thing. I feel fine just now. This is absolutely disgusting, but incredible. I carefully stood up. While the wound wasn't fully healed, I felt almost no pain and could move just fine. The Zyra are intriguing, miraculous even. But after this carnival is over, I'll fall back into my coma? Remy pondered for a moment. It's not certain anymore. Last carnival, you fell into your coma for a very short period. Perhaps this time around you'll regain your consciousness entirely. I've never seen you so alive before. My giddiness at his good news faded when I realized the implication of consuming the Zyra. All of those innocent people were killed, though. Don't tell me. It's partly my fault. How did I even come to host the main Zyra in the first place? Probably from the car accident. Vivienne. You aided Vivienne? Okay. Under Vivienne's wishes. I aided her and made you its host. What? Vivienne? You can't mean my mom. Is she the show mistress? Remy's unmirthful expression told me that's exactly who he was talking about. My mom did all of this? My mind went blank, refusing to process the information. She killed everyone? You must understand. She doesn't want to lose the only family she has left. Serious face. Of all people, I know how much those bonds mean. I know how losing them can drive one mad. I peered at Remy strangely. His words were so dark. The light in his eyes had completely gone. Oh, sorry, that sound effect really scares me. A gnawing fear grew in my core. I was beyond frightened of the senseless death, of the darkness Remy showed, and even of my own mom. I nearly jumped a foot in the air when I heard a loud banging. It sounded as if someone was punching dense glass. The alien horrors outside were becoming more and more restless, slamming harder against the magic barrier that kept them at bay. At the rate they're attacking my wards, they'll shatter them. It's not an issue, as I can reinforce them. You mean stay here rather than going to the main tent? I thought the main tent was the best option. Remy lowered his gaze, almost sorrowfully. We could go to the main tent, but that's where Vivian is waiting. Are you ready to face your mom, who killed so many innocents and forced you to become an abomination? You also helped her? Sir, you helped her. Can't forget that fact. An abomination? Remy's harsh words hit me like a heavy weight, sending me crashing into a pit of doubt. Didn't you just say how I should understand how she didn't want to lose me? Remy's stare was so intense, it pierced through me. But at what cost? Your humanity? I faltered. Remy spoke the truth. While I could understand my mom's intentions, she did kill so many innocent people, just so I could consume the lesser Zyra and regain my strength. Then again, should I even trust anything Remy is saying about my mom? Was this the truth? If my mom is really at the main tent, I could speak to her, if that was even what I wanted right now. Alternatively, couldn't I just leave all of this behind? Escape the carnival completely? Freedom was alluring. But if we leave, won't we just... Most likely we have to go back in our coma. We won't know anything. A mess of emotions swirling through me, I decided to save.